Welcome again, Libra. It's 2016 July. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au with your month in focus. And it's a pretty big month for you with the sun moving in your 10th house, your career sector, all things professional coming to the forefront for you. And as well as that, we see the position of Venus and Mercury also in that position. So top heavy, a lot of weight being given astrologically, planetary wise, to your career and professional sector. The interesting thing too, if that's not enough, we see on the 5th a new moon taking place in this area of your horoscope. And that's significant because it tells us that you're probably nearing the end of a cycle. These are not always huge cycles, but they can be cycles wherein you make some reasonable changes to improve work conditions, if not moving departments, and in some cases changing a whole new direction. So that is significant for some of you, but not for all. And that takes place around the 5th. So you can look forward to this month being one in which a whole lot of changes, a whole lot of creative energy is coming to the surface, and you are in a mood for digging up some new ideas, as shown by the moon in your 8th house as the month starts. As well, on the 3rd, we see a trine aspect from the sun there in your career sector to Neptune in your 6th house of workplace environments, work employees. And that has to do with health as well. So there can be a tie-in where you're realizing that the way you work and your health are very, very intimately linked. I've spoken about that before, especially with this Neptune transit in your 6th house taking place for a long time. It's been there quite a while. It's going to be there for many, many more years. So it's imperative that you look at those work practices that may be adversely affecting your physical well-being. Cheers. The other thing about that and the creative aspects of it is just simply to make yourself feel happy. You know, it's best to do something that you enjoy in life. And this is a month where, with Venus and Mercury in this upper part of your horoscope, those sorts of achievements are very, very possible. You have to take a step, however, in the direction that you wish to move. And although some of you may still be a little reluctant, that's because of the 7th ruler, Mars, being in the 2nd house of finance and having been retrograde for some time. It is right now, however, in a stationary position, ready to move forward, and shortly it will move into your 3rd house, which is the house of courage, valor, and strength. It's going to make contact with Saturn, which is a bit of a tough planet for most, but for the Libran sun sign, it actually works quite well. It's the 4th and 5th ruler. So this conjunction of the 7th ruler, the 4th and 5th ruler in the coming month or two is going to really start to bring with it that power that you need to make the moves that you've probably been a little bit hesitant to make in the past. So that is all very, very good news for you. We see as well some other aspects there. If we look, for example, at that Mars position, it is in an opposition to the moon as the month commences, which has a lot to do with shared resources, your income generally. And because this combination is one that gives, I guess, a reactive sort of tendency, you've got to be careful not to get yourself into, disputes over money. That may happen as a result of partnerships or dealing with customers. So make sure you count all the money, make sure all your invoices are correct, make sure you've studied your budgets well, so that there's no misunderstanding in the way you're dealing with others when it comes to finances. Mercury is making quite a few aspects this month. One that I'd like to point out, and this is by no means exhaustive, you can look at the site and I'll give you the details later to get more information on this. But Mercury is important. It is one of your important planets. It rules your 9th house, which is the higher mind, and the 12th house, spiritual house. Being in the 10th house, communications can be a little bit funny around the period of the 8th to the 11th. So make sure, as I said with your finances, you read and reread all of your correspondence. Don't cut corners, because you may miss vital information. It's important to achieving those results we've talked about in your professional activities. That's around the 11th. Then we see it moving into your 11th house, which is your profitability house, sometime on the 14th actually. And it does make a nice conjunction of Venus there, which precedes it into the 11th house of profitability. So that's going to shift from purely professional activities to social activities, but activities that could intertwine both of those areas of your life. But as I said, be careful with the spoken word and the written word. You want to make sure you're absolutely clear about everything, and that will help you to move closer to the goals that you've set for yourself. Later in the month, we have a very, very powerful full moon that's going to take place in your 4th house, very near to the planet Pluto. So that can show us a shift again to your domestic sphere, to relationship issues with mother. And yeah, Pluto is very, very transformative. So just as we're saying, things can change in your work, things can change just as much, if not even more dramatically, in your domestic sphere in the last portion of the month of July. And then Mercury seems to be moving very, very quickly away out of that 11th house into the lower key spiritual house on the very last day of the month, the 31st of July. Prior to doing that, you do have to be careful. I've mentioned Pluto. There are some opposition aspects that are taking place there in the earlier part of the month. But if you use this energy properly, it is going to give you the chance to learn a lot more about yourself and to spiritualize those activities that appear to be difficult, but are actually teaching you some important lessons this month. Do join me next month, but in the meantime, as I said earlier, we have a more detailed analysis of the day-by-day transits. You can get them at my website, astrology.com.au, and lots of free stuff there for you to help you make heads or tails of your life. And don't forget, for more detailed and problematic issues, a personal reading with myself or one of the many other practitioners that are available through our network. Take care and see you next month. Bye-bye, Libra.